I just finished reading Ready Player One, and it is probably one of my favorite fiction books that I've read in recent history. I also haven't read a fiction book since elementary school. Besides that, it's also my favorite movie that I've ever seen. You see, the story follows a young kid named Wade Watts. He's in high school and he lives in this dystopian future where everything is online. Imagine if we all across the entire planet had access to VR chat, and in it we made money, we lived our lives, we went to school, and that was just completely normal for everyone. Very few people in the real world actually had real jobs to go to due to the amount of overpopulation in the world, lack of food, lack of facilities, all as a result of an energy crisis. Due to the constant wars and the fact that this energy crisis has pretty much made the planet unenjoyable to live on, everybody wants to live in the virtual world, and I mean, you can't really blame them, it sucks. So anyway, the main story begins when the guy who created this virtual world called the Oasis dies. His name is James Halliday, and when he dies, he leaves behind his will. His will says, if anyone can solve this Easter egg that I left behind in the Oasis, you will win my entire fortune, which is around a couple $100 billion in the book. Obviously, with the world going to complete hell, everybody's like, I want to win this Easter egg. So a search begins, and a bunch of people who are Easter egg hunters spend their entire lives learning pop culture, history of this guy, James Halliday's life, to see if they can figure out the Easter egg. The main character, Wade Watts, is one of these people who is super obsessed with figuring out this Easter egg, among a couple other main characters in the story and the rest of the world, including the evil corporation, IOI, who is also trying to solve this Easter egg so that they can take all the shares of the Oasis and start to monetize it, add a bunch of ads, and take control over it. Now, this book has a lot of similarities to the real world, which is the main purpose of this video and what I wanted to dive into. You see, now in this digital age, we're starting to get to a point where we don't really even need to go outside anymore. We can work from home, we can order food, groceries in, we can talk to our friends online, and what use is there of public spaces if I can just stay in my room all day? You see, there's this concept called hikikomori. It's been coined in Japan, and it's been getting increasingly popular as of late. Studies have shown that there's been a trend of increasing hikikomori over time, especially in recent years. The term refers to modern-day hermits or loners and people who seek extreme degrees of social isolation and confinement. According to an article by Psychology Today, one hikikomori said, I became a hiki after dropping out of high school at 16, writes a Reddit user. I'm 37 now with the mind of a 16-year-old. 2 decades and I've done nothing. Never had a kiss, never got a job, just spent every day online. It does not get better. There's this feeling of hopelessness with these people that since they're so deep in to this like chronically online nature, to the fact that they've lost their social skills and they're so used to living on their own that they can't get better. And this isn't being helped by the fact that now with AI technologies, we've started to create chatbots that resemble human beings, and God forbid, AI girlfriends. Dude, is this actually real? What the Dude. What happens if I... Oh. This is crazy. This is like, look at all this. Look at all these different AIs right here. This is insane. What is this, too?
Harmony was developed by the American company Abyss Creations. She has powerful artificial intelligence and is designed for single men. Harmony can discuss music, movies, and books, tell jokes, and quote Shakespeare. She remembers the owner's...
I mean, it's not bad yet. You're not seeing people walking down the streets talking to their AI girlfriends on the phone or carrying a robot with them everywhere they go. But give it like 20, 30, 50 years. Is this going to become mainstream? Are we going to get like a Detroit Become Human kind of world? I don't want to see that. I've also seen these clips lately of people who are on like VR chat worlds or something, and they'll be talking to someone who has completely deluded themselves into thinking that they live in the virtual world, to the point where they can feel pain or touch from other characters in the virtual world.
It too.
Do you mind please
It was
don't
too
walk
cute.
through me?
What?
Please do not walk through me.
What?
Be careful. I got yelled at too for walking through her, so be careful.
Why is that a big deal?
Rainbow here has severe phantom sense, so please try to not walk through her, or you will be removed from this instance.
You serious?
It's not bothering you.
It is.
How?
It's bothering me a lot.
How so?
Because it's irritating my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sticking a knife on your eyes. I guess it would, yeah.
Because I have phantom pain!
This gets even worse because there are people who are literally spending hours of their day, like I'm talking like 10, 12 hours of their day, just in VR headsets. Sometimes even longer, days. Some people even a week.
What's the longest you played this game for without stopping?
When I first got my headset, I used to play for like a whole ass day, and I'd fall asleep in VR, and I'd wake up and I'd play more. That went on for 3 days one time.
26 hours, because I fell asleep.
I think I went 16 hours straight once.
46 hours once.
Longest time I've been in VR is a month straight.
And you know, this all returns to the book that I just talked about, Ready Player One, where people are literally living in a virtual world where they have VR headsets on almost 24/7 of their day, besides the few times they need to go to the bathroom or whatever. The world is devolving into this technological hellscape where we're starting to lose what's important, and that is living in the real world, because it is real. Spoiler alert for Ready Player One, but James Halliday, when he creates this Easter egg for the main characters to solve, he guides them through these realizations he's had at the end of his life. You know, he's really old when he dies, he's like 80 something, and he creates these challenges that help to make the player learn his mistakes so that whoever wins the challenge can prepare for the future. And one of the central mistakes that he cites in Ready Player One is that he had this one girl that he had a crush on in the real world, but all he would do is just live in these games that he created. He would build video games, he would build the Oasis, but he never took his shot. He never went for that leap, and that's something he regretted for the rest of his life. And so here is this guy who's created the most popular, successful, interactive gaming / entertainment platform of all time in this world, and he sits on his deathbed with the realization and the regret that he did not live life. He instead just stuck to his nose in books and in these virtual worlds and neglected to experience the joys of what it is to be human. To quote the popular philosopher and emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, he says, "We were born to work together, like feet, hands, and eyes, like the 2 rows of teeth, upper and lower." The human experience, in summary, is not just to like go off on your own, build your own thing, and die alone. It's to interact with your community. That is what it is to live in a society. My worry is as time progresses and we give people these opportunities to live on their own and they start to get used to it and it starts to become normal to them, we're going to develop a society of people who just become socially inept. I mean, as you can see from those clips earlier, if you live in a world like this surrounded by people like you who don't know how to talk to people in the real world, you lose that ability to communicate with them and then you become an outcast. This outcast epidemic needs to be addressed, or we're going to start to see the consequences of it in the future. If we don't do anything, then the hikikomori are going to be on the rise for God knows how long as these technologies start to develop, and we start to see human connection as something optional rather than required. So, in summary, I encourage this. Check in on your friends. If you think that they might be someone who's kind of suffering from this, make sure to drag them to a couple social events here and there, best you can. You don't want them to kind of get stuck in that mindset, that's fear, because it's going to compound over time and they're going to be stuck there. And then for yourself, have a good balance of consuming media and living in the virtual world. Don't just get stuck in it, because if you do, then you'll find it's a lot harder to get out. As I mentioned earlier, we have no idea what technology has in store for us in the next couple of decades. AI is in its infancy stage still, and we could have some kind of internet level development that's some crazy thing we can't even conceptualize. And we have to be ready for it. And you know, as terrifying and painful as reality can be, it's also the only place where we can get a decent meal. Because reality is real. Make sure you're living in it. Thank you. Have a good night.